I now give the floor to Mr. Jean-Pierre Lacroix.
Thank you very much, Mr. President. I am pleased to address this Council today on the situation in Abyei and on the strategic review for the UN Interim Security Force in Abyei, or UNISFA. Mr. President, in the implementation of its mandate over the past reporting period, UNISFA successfully continued its work to protect the people of Abyei through its military and mine action presence, support to intercommunal dialogue, women's participation in political life and the rule of law, and UNISFA's humanitarian and recovery work reached more than 103,000 vulnerable people. It is encouraging that both South Sudan and Sudan have now established national committees on the question of Abyei, and the warming of the relation between the two countries was visible in Abyei when I was a month ago, and where most of the threats to the community are of a criminal nature, not of a military nature. UNISFA continued to build on this momentum in its engagement with the governments of Sudan and South Sudan on all matters of relevance to the mission. UNISFA, in close cooperation with DPO and the Department of Operational Support at the Secretariat, also spent significant energy and resources on the complex military and logistical planning that will be required as UNISFA transitions from a single contingent to a multinational peace operation. Most of the new challenges during the past period related to the mandate of the Joint Border Verification and Monitoring Mechanism, or JBVMM, where representatives of the local community in Gok Machar made it difficult and eventually impossible for UNISFA to continue to support the implementation of the JBVMM mandate to a large extent. I will come back to this point when discussing the strategic review, and I appreciated the Security Council's focus on the issue during a closed meeting on the 13th of October, followed by a statement in support of UNISFA and the JBVMM of the 15th of October. Mr. President, allow me to move on to the strategic review for UNISFA. At the request of this Council, a DPO team, jointly with the Office of the Special Envoy for the Horn of Africa, the Department of Operational Support, and the Department of Safety and Security, conducted in-person consultations with stakeholders in Sudan, South Sudan, and Ethiopia from 18 to 30th of June. The recommendations on the way forward for UNISFA were shared with this Council in a letter from the Secretary General of the 17th of September. I will focus today on four main issues. First, the strategic review followed the request from the Security Council for a possible drawdown and exit strategy for UNISFA in its resolution 2550 and 2575. What guided the team, first and foremost, was the rapidly changed situation in the Sudan and South Sudan over the past 10 years since UNISFA was established. The improved relationship between the two governments has started bearing fruit in the border areas as well as in Abyei, and the Secretary General's recommendations for the future of UNISFA build on this new reality. Despite the internal challenges that the Sudan and South Sudan each face, their bilateral commitment towards cooperation on outstanding issues has remained so far. The upbeat political tone on the issue of Abyei that my strategic review team heard in Khartoum and Juba in June appears to have remained intact until now. I heard similar messages of hope for and overall peace in Abyei during my visit to the region last month. Second, the review team did identify a significant trust deficit that remains between the communities in Abyei, particularly the Miseria and Gokbenka, and noted an important space for UN peacebuilding, humanitarian recovery, and development assistance. The UN continues to prioritize support for this issue, and it is my hope that the Council will provide UNISFA with a continued and somewhat strengthened mandate in this particular area, while slowly but steadily identifying areas where the military and security side of the mission could start preparing for an eventual drawdown. Third, it is too early to know what the impact of this week's developments in Khartoum will mean for UNISFA on a day-to-day basis. But I am hopeful, as I know that all parties in Sudan have so far supported the mission. I am also grateful for the continued cooperation of South Sudan in support of UNISFA. In view of the dynamics on the ground, we urge the parties to ensure effective support to our efforts to replace the contingent in the period ahead while preserving the gains made to date in building trust and providing security. The success of that process will be absolutely critical to make sure that UNISFA will be able to continue as a mission and to continue implementing its mandate. Thus, our planning towards a full replacement of the current military contingent with a multinational contingent will continue in full speed. I am grateful to the government of Ethiopia, and particularly to its peacekeepers and their families, for their commitment to UN peacekeeping. Ethiopia's women and men have done an outstanding job in Abyei over the past 10 years, as evidenced by the improved situation on the ground. I also take this opportunity to express my deepest condolences to the government of Ethiopia and to the impacted family for the loss of one of Ethiopia's peacekeepers in Gokmashar, South Sudan, on 14th of September. And of course, we have a thought for all the Ethiopian peacekeepers who have made the ultimate sacrifice during these 10 years. With respect to the military side of UNISFA, the strategic review proposes two viable options for the force. One option would keep overall force numbers close to what they are currently. The second option proposes a lightly reduced troop ceiling, a move that will require more operational adjustments, but should encourage Sudan and South Sudan to move forward on outstanding issues with increased urgency. It is also recommended that the UN establishes a rule of law support strategy. An additional outcome of the strategic review was the need for the Joint Border Verification and Monitoring Mechanism, or JBVMM, to remain as is. It is indeed regrettable that there have been serious challenges in 3 of the JBVMM's 5 locations. That is to say, Kir Adem Safaha, Team Site 11, War Abar As Samaya, Team Site 12, in the safe demilitarized border zone, and Gokmashar in South Sudan. I appreciated the 19th of October statement by the government of South Sudan, in which it reaffirmed its commitment to the JBVMM and indicated that its work with communities in the Gokmashar area is ongoing. I hope this will mean a swift return of the JBVMM to these 3 locations, as a lack of implementation of the Security Council mandate could jeopardize the overall peace and security in the border areas, in breach of the Status of Forces agreement between the government of South Sudan and UNISFA. Fourth, negotiations towards a political settlement concerning the Abyei area, with the Sudan and South Sudan in the lead, remain crucial building blocks towards an exit strategy for UNISFA. As part of defining a strategic vision for the mission, it is important that a set of benchmarks be established in close coordination with Sudan and South Sudan. These benchmarks should contain specific requirements for the inclusion of women. In addition, they should be built around the joint mechanisms that the parties have already established towards the settlement of the Abyei issue. Mr. President, to conclude, I believe the UNISFA strategic review has provided important recommendations for the mission's further reconfiguration and contains solid options that will enhance UNISFA's mandate implementation in the near future. I look forward to the Council's further guidance on this matter and to the ongoing cooperation with the governments of South Sudan and Sudan in our support to the communities of Abyei. Finally, since this will be the last Security Council session for UNISFA's Force Commander and Acting Head of Mission, Major General Kefyalu Amde Tessema of Ethiopia, I wish to thank him for his steadfast leadership of the mission and for his support as UNISFA transitions to UN multinational peace operation. Thank you for your attention. Thank you, Mr. President.
I thank Mr. Lacroix for his briefing. I now give the floor to